All right, here we are. Back again. This is 2 in 2 weeks, and we've got more coming. Thanks for everybody for joining today. Wow, look at those numbers. Everybody's coming in. All right. Well, while everybody's getting settled, as per usual, it's time for me to make the pitch for Explorer once again. We've got we're what, 30 days or some change out at this point, starting at August 25th. Plus, we've got CTAB happening the day before if you're coming into Las Vegas early. So if you're not already registered for Explore, registration is open. The content catalog is open. You can see what's going on, and the schedule builder is open. So if you are registered and see something in that content catalog that you would like to join in with, you can actually start registering for sessions now. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a big year for VCF. VCF is going to have a vast majority of the programming at Explorer this year. So a lot of good content about Cloud Foundation and its components, talking about dealing with a lot of our partners. We're going to have a ton of customers there this year. I probably shouldn't talk about this, but boy, just looking at some of the names that are going to be attending, who we're going to be on stage with, it's going to be a big year. So, that said, boy, folks are still coming in. So yeah, definitely check out the Explore page, scan the QR code. You can register directly from those pages, and if you are already registered as a previous attendee, you can log in with your old information. All that's still going to be there, so you can come again using the same using the same login. But today, getting us ready for Explore and talking about today we're talking about the best platform for running traditional and modern workloads. We've got Audrey Bian, who's our principal product marketing manager, and Katarina Brookfield, who's our staff technical marketing architect. Slow down a little bit on that. How y'all doing today?
Doing well. Very good,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good, good. Well, it looks like we've got everybody's in the room at this point. Tons of folks. Couple still trickling in, but I don't want to take any more time because I know you've got a lot of good content today. So let's go ahead and get rolling.
Thank you, Anders. Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here with you virtually today. I'm Audrey Bian, the Principal Product and Marketing Manager at Broadcom, and I work on Kubernetes on VMware Cloud Foundation. Today, I'm with my co-presenter, Katarina Brookfield, the Staff Technical Marketing Architect. So we are excited to talk to you about VMware Cloud Foundation. We will go with the VCF in the whole presentation, the best platform for running traditional and modern workloads. First, let's have a quick glance on agenda. It's pretty straightforward. And today we'll talk like in a more like storytelling way to show you some stats and our solution. Now let's get started. First, I want to show you some stats where the industry is headed with modern applications. This is Gartner's projection. So in the top stats, 95%. By 2029, more than 95% of the global organizations, they are expected to run a containerized application in production. So this is a massive shift compared to 2023, which is only 2 years ago when there was like less than 50% had a containerized workload in production. And the middle stats, 80%, we also see a transformation in how commercial software is packed and delivered. So by 2029, over 80% of the commercial off-the-shelf vendor, they will ship their software in container format, which is up from less than only 30% in 2023. So this shift enables a faster deployment, simpler integration, and a more consistent performance across environments, especially in hybrid cloud setup. And the last stats, 80%, that's the edge. So by 2028, 80% of the custom software deployed at the physical edge will run in containers compared to just 10% in 2 years ago. So this points to the increasing need for containerization in edge use cases where flexibility, scalability, and lifecycle management are critical. So across the industry, so we are seeing this consistent trend. Containers are no longer optional. So whether it's in data center, in the cloud, at the edge, containerization has become the universal language of application delivery. As we see the shift, now let's talk about Broadcom's contribution in CNCF community. So Broadcom has always been the top 3 long-term contributor to Kubernetes community. We actively driving innovation, collaboration, and ecosystem growth. So our contribution spans in this area. First is, VMware originated Kubernetes projects. So Broadcom will continue after acquisition to support these Kubernetes projects that originated from VMware time, which including Valor for backup and recovery, control for ingress control, and Harbor for container registry security. And the second is this other supported Kubernetes projects. So beyond our project, we also actively contribute to the broader Kubernetes ecosystem by supporting such as cluster API, as well as the controller runtime, which are these foundational components for Kubernetes custom controller development. And the third part is the Kubernetes advocacy and the thought leadership. So Broadcom's commitment extend beyond this contribution. We are deeply involved in thought leadership and advocacy. So we support CNCF and the Linux Foundation, engaged in this special interest group 6 to drive innovations and participate in KubeCon sponsorships. So we attend KubeCon in London, and there are KubeCon India and Atlanta's coming this year. So in terms of ongoing commitment, so look ahead, Broadcom remain contributed to upstream Kubernetes and CNC projects. For example, we provide the enterprise ready Kubernetes runtime built in VCF. We will talk about more about that later. So we want to ensure the seamless integration, security, and the performance for cloud native workloads. As we're looking at adopting modern applications, there's no doubt the benefits are compelling. Fast innovation, scalability, agility, but there are also a number of key challenges that organizations they consistently facing. First is infrastructure complexity and silos. So many organizations, they are juggling hybrid environment, legacy systems, and a multiple cloud platform. So this results to disconnected tools and teams, making it very hard to operate at a speed. The second part is technology complexity and the skills gaps. So as you all know, it's very difficult to hire talent with specialties in Kubernetes to manage modern workloads. At the same time, we want to keep the existing team to running on the traditional workloads. And the third part is security and compliance. It's always a major concern because with distributed application and a faster release cycle, maintaining a secure and a compliant environment is more critical and complex than ever. We also see fragmented tooling becomes a pain point. Different teams, they have different tools from different time, and which result in redundant first and also overlapping, fully integrated solutions, which not only add the cost, but also increase operational friction. Finally, the legacy integration, it is always a blocker because like modern apps, they need to connect with existing system, but customers, they also have to choose the right strategy and the technology to address the integration problem. So these challenges are not just technical, they are also organizational and strategic. So overcoming them require first a unified platform approach that we can streamline the operations, reduce the tool and the skill fragmentation, and most importantly, build it in the secure and the governance by design. Now, You possibly think now we should dive into the solution, but let me give you a quick intro of the key personas in VCF 9.0. So when we get to the features and the solution, I will always circle back to these personas and highlight how each feature benefits this persona. So we have three key personas in VCF 9.0. The first is business leaders. So what they care the most is always the primary focus on the cost efficiency, innovation, and the security. Cloud admins are the second personas we focus on. So they care about operational efficiency, security too, and they also care about the governance. So they need to ensure SLAs are met and maintain the high availability and the security. Also, policies, governance, and the control mechanisms help them to manage the compliance and reduce the risk. The last is the platform engineer. So they are responsible for deliver a smooth, reliable cloud experience for users. So they care about managing the infrastructure as a service and the Kubernetes environment. For example, they want a self-service to cloud services, so give them the flexibility and efficiency in deploying resources. They also need upstream conformant Kubernetes with the latest feature to support their modern application. Now, let's keep these in mind and we will explore more in details in later sections. Okay, so VCF. First, your question may be, what is VMware Cloud Foundation? What is VCF? So my shortest answer ever is VCF is a private cloud platform. So let's understand a little bit what we mean when we say cloud. So cloud is not just a location, it's a way of working and operating model. So many people would think cloud is a specific platform such as AWS, Microsoft Azure, but cloud is not just a platform, it's the service that enable cloud operating model. So, or the way we build and provide IT services and the capabilities. So we usually see cloud, we benefit from modernizing how we build, operate, consume, and protect IT resources, applications, and services. So it's not just a location. So let's talk about how modern private cloud brings together the best two words. So first is the public cloud and the traditional cloud data center benefits. On the left, you can see we have this value of the public cloud. We all know its agility, scalability, flexible and on-demand access to services. On the right hand side, we have this proven strength of the local data center on premises. So we ensure secure control and governance. So at the center, it's all the modern private cloud, which could provide to our customers. It combines both sets of the benefits into a single cohesive infrastructure platform. So there are three key use cases for VCF 9.0 from infrastructure, application, and security modernization. Today, we'll focus on application modernization, basically because VCF supports self-service infrastructure for apps teams. So it provides a powerful platform to build, run, and manage Kubernetes workloads as well as private AI applications, which give enterprises a consistent and a secure environment to innovate with modern tools and frameworks. We'll talk more about that. So I guess this is the most important slide. We showed multiple times in different presentations because it illustrates how VCF deliver a built-in Kubernetes runtime and a multi-cloud cluster management framework through vSphere Kubernetes Service. We'll go with VKS in this session. So let's take a look started from the bottom. So VKS is built on vSphere Supervisor, which tightly integrated with our underlying compute, storage, and networking layers. We ensure the performance, security, and efficiency at this infrastructure level. And for VKS, it provides the enterprise-ready Kubernetes environment. So we have a set of core packages you can see on the diagram, such as a CSI driver, Entree, Calico, and more. And the standard packages we have Prometheus, Prometheus, Harbor, and SDL, and the FrontBit. So these are the services covering from logging, monitoring, ingress, and the service mesh needs. So on top of this foundation, there's a wide range of the cloud services such as VM service, network service, backup storage, so GitOps and access control. So making VCF a complete platform for both VMs and containers. So this environment will support the need of multiple personas. Remember the persona I mentioned earlier? Let's take a look here. So for cloud admins, they are able to manage the infrastructure via the supervisor level, and the platform engineers, so they can configure and then manage Kubernetes clusters and services. Even for developers, so when they consume APIs and self-service tools to build the modern apps, which can include AI, ML workloads, distributed databases, data streaming, and more. So most importantly, this architecture is extensible and open. So we make it open integration with any CNCF compliant third-party services. So it does give customers a choice and flexibility. So at the center of this is the multi-cluster management. We'll talk more about that in the later slide. So first, now let's take a look on the vSphere Kubernetes Service VKS on VCF 9.0. Basically, it's a component that integrates Kubernetes container orchestration into the VCF environment. So VKS is designed to simplify the deployment, management, and operations of Kubernetes clusters, enabling the organizations to run modern workloads and alongside the traditional workloads. And also for VKS, it provides a consistent upstream Kubernetes distribution. We also give customers the flexibility so they can choose to run N-2 Kubernetes versions, which means they have the flexibility to choose the three latest versions for their infrastructure. Basically, we want to make sure that these clusters are automatically integrated with the underlying VCM infrastructure for networking, storage, and security. So if you remember from the most important diagram, I said VKS cluster management is also the key components in the supervisor diagram. So VKS cluster management actually it's a new name. It's previously known as Tanzu Mission Control, if you know. So which delivers control, efficiency, and security to platform teams who are looking to simplify Kubernetes operations. So the benefits are from three angles. The first is it provides automation and data protection for fleets of clusters. And then you have the control of your environment by attaching existing clusters and getting lifecycle management support for VKS clusters. The last is the benefits of improving efficiency, which we leverage like GitOps capabilities to provision and manage clusters with consistency and ease. Last is the hardest topic of all, security. Secure your cluster quickly and easily with a robust engine that includes policies for access, security, network, quota, and more. We'll talk more about the cluster management in the later section. So I know there are a lot of concept introductions, you possibly be distracted by some thoughts of the day. So now let me give you a quick recap of all the concept I mentioned, and hopefully this is you walk away with something new. First is the was a VCF. It's a very simple. It's a single platform to run VMs in the containers with built-in Kubernetes service. And the vSphere supervisor serves as a foundation for all the cloud services. What is the VKS? It is a built-in Kubernetes service that orchestrates the containerized workloads. The last but not least, VKS cluster management, which delivers control, efficiency, and security to platform teams. Now let's dive into some features and the capabilities of all the Kubernetes on VCF. So on this slide, I made a summary of the features into like 3 categories. First is a single platform. Second, we will talk about simplified operations such as self-service, cluster order scaling. And then the last, we talk about elevated security, such as our recent integration SDL Service Mesh. And we also have the ops fixed mode for compliances. So you will see there are 3 core runtime on this slide. First is the VKS for container-based workloads, VM service for traditional virtual machines, and the vSphere pod service for fast pod native execution at supervisor level. And then below, you will also see the infrastructure services, such as we have this load balancer service, storage service, and the network service. So these services are fundamental for ensuring performance, connectivity, and scalability for any applications we deployed in VCF. You can also see on the right-hand side, a rich set of additional platform services, which is available as VCF native integrations. We will not talk each of them, but you will see there are areas such as for Kubernetes management, like Velarro, Entree, and we have DevOps and CI/CD, like Harbor image registry and a policy security category. Like it's a secret service, and the last is like AI services, data and the data services. So VCF is not just an infrastructure platform. It's a full stack, as we can see on the slide. It's an API-driven cloud operating model. So it enables infrastructure teams like platform engineers, developers to build and run modern applications across any environment with the flexibility, governance, and the enterprise they require. So for VCF, we rapidly delivered the new version of Kubernetes and a new functionality, like I mentioned briefly earlier on VCF slide. So VKS can be independently upgraded. So cloud admins, they will be able to update VKS without having to update the supervisor or the vCenter to seamlessly receive and unlock the newer version of Kubernetes from the CNCF community. This can be then driven directly used by our consumers. On this slide, so on VCF, we enable self-service. If you remember, I mentioned it briefly earlier. So on the left, we can see the cloud admins. So they remain in control of the infrastructure. They define the policies, governance, and models that ensure compliance, security, and standardization across the whole environment. And on the right is our platform engineer. They can independently consume infrastructure resources through self-service API or UI. They also can deploy and upgrade Kubernetes clusters, manage access to the clusters, and operate independently without the boundaries set up by the cloud admins. So this model also balances developer agility as well. Cloud admin, they ensure the consistency and the control, and the platform engineer, they gain the speed they need to innovate, make VCF a very powerful platform for modern and scalable cloud operations. So in VCF 9.0, we introduced the enhanced flexibility through workload zones, which enable cloud admins to define and manage workload zones independently to better align infrastructure resources with the workload needs. For example, for the vSphere namespaces, they support both single zone and multi-zone configurations. So it makes it very easy to accommodate variety of high availability requirements and disaster recovery scenarios. Cloud admins, they can also extend this private cloud infrastructure by adding specialized zones, such as like dedicated resources for GPU-intensive workloads, which we offer to customers with greater control, optimized resource utilization, and improved agility for diverse deployments. So auto scaling has always been with VCF, but with 9.0, we enable the support for scale down to zero and scale up from zero capability. So which this capability wasn't included in VCF before. Now clusters, they can automatically reduce to zero worker nodes during the, not that busy time, and they can also scale up as the demand returns. So this on-demand scalability optimize the infrastructure usage. The goal is to reduce the operational cost and ensure these resources are being provisioned only when they need it. That's significantly bring down the TCO. VKS cluster management, if you remember, we kind of circle back to the personas. It's the benefit for cloud admins so they can efficiently manage clusters and a cluster group across these diverse environments within with the built-in capabilities like policy management, access control, so the teams they can accelerate the deployment, reduce the operational complexity, and ensure the consistent configurations. So this unified approach simplifies day two operations and adjusts the governance across Kubernetes infrastructure. The last we recently announced VKS 3.4 in June. Actually, it's the same day as we announced VCF 9.0. So after upgrading to VCF 3.4, so our customers will be able to create and manage Kubernetes clusters using the latest vSphere Kubernetes release, which is 1.33, aligns to the latest community release. So Broadcom will continue with this momentum. Every 4 months, we will announce a new version of VKS. So in this new version, like the VKS 3.4 I just mentioned, we now offer a extended support, which is a 24-month for like critical securities. So which means the vulnerability are patched through this extended support period. So customers they can upgrade directly from one extended support version to the next, which reduce the operational overhead and the upgrade risk. So the benefits are such as customer they can stay on a supported minor version for up to 2 years, avoiding the constant like quarterly upgrades. And also this model provides flexibility to align upgrades with internal business priorities, such as if they have end of year freeze or production or product launches. The last is ensures ongoing security and compliance, even if you delay upgrades from operational reasons. Now we are under the security part. So we recently add a new configuration option, which we support for fixed mode at operating system level. This enhancement basically give the cloud admins the flexibility to ensure fixed mode for both Linux and Windows workload clusters, which aligns with Kubernetes environments with federal and industry security standard, especially for our customers in public sectors, which we remain a control over the security posture. And the last feature is our recent integration of the SDL Service Mesh, which provides advanced capabilities such as service discovery, secure service-to-service communication, traffic routing, and load balancing. So with the features like ingress and egress gateways, fault injection, rate limiting, and support for zero trust architecture, SDL Service Mesh enables platform teams to manage complex like a microservices environment with the visibility, resiliency, and compliance. Also, they can streamline the operations across the Kubernetes clusters. Now I will hand over to Katarina. She will do an overview demo for us to showcase how easy to run and manage Kubernetes clusters with the VCF.
Thank you very much. So right now I'm going to show you a little bit of demo because we've heard how we are delivering this cloud experience in VCF 9. Well, in this demo, I want to show you what it actually means. So where we will start is what any consumer would see. I have a link to a portal, to our VMware Cloud Foundation, to my organization, where I can select where I want to log in. And all I have to do is log in with my username that has been provided to me. As soon as I log in, I get an overview of all the services that are available to me, all the projects I'm part of, namespaces that have been created, as well as all of the services that we can do. So let's start with something we all know, and that's virtual machines. Well, we've made this really easy in the user interface for anyone to deploy virtual machines by simply following steps in like adding a virtual machine name, selecting an image that we want to use for the deployment, to configure it with resources, with VM classes, that's the t-shirt style system you would see anywhere in the cloud, as well as the seamless integration with the infrastructure below. So if I want to add persistent volume from our storage, or maybe a load balancer from networking, I can do it directly with this flow. But most importantly, I can not only deploy my virtual machine, but fully configure it with Cloud Init, for example, if I'm doing a Linux-based VM, or if I'm doing Windows, I can use sysprep. And again, for this, we have added new options directly in the user interface to make this even easier for you. So if you're already deploying and configuring your VMs with Cloud Init, you can always use your role configuration. Directly in the user interface, you can use selected options. Like, for example, in here, I've just created a new user that's called DevOps, and I'm going to add a list of commands that should be run on this VM during provisioning. So Cloud Init will run during its first boot to configure my VM. For example, here I'm deploying a CLI VM, and I'm deploying some of my CLI toolsets that I would use in all of my further demos. But the power of this is that you can do a full configuration of anything you really want on your virtual machine. Next improvements we've done are in the area of networking. And that's with our integration with VPC, which we have introduced this great, really cloud-based networking service, which allows me to, as a consumer, to create my VPCs, but also create subnets without having to have any kind of knowledge of networking again. So in here, if I want to access my virtual machine, for example, directly, I wanted to put it on a public subnet, I have created that and attached the VM. So I don't have to front it with a load balancer. And again, a few more options in the user interface, like configuring a host name, domain configuration, DNS, and some other basic things. So I will just going to add that. And then, as always, we are defining every resource that we are deploying now in desired state. What it means is that we create a resource manifest, which is in YAML format. But again, you don't have to know anything about the formatting or how to do that, because we do that for you. So here on the right side, you can see that the full desired state manifest has been created for me with all of those options that I have selected in the user interface for all of the resources that I'm creating. So that's my virtual machine, but also the bootstrapping secret. And I have an option to download this for later use. All I have to do now is deploy my VM and wait for it to be ready. And once it's online, I can do basic operations, open the remote console from here, for example, but I'm just going to grab the IP and test that it has done what it was supposed to. So I'm going to open my command prompt, SSH onto this with the user that I have created. And if that works, I know that that configuration worked. And I'm just going to check some of those tools that I've installed and make sure that they work. As easy as that. But the main power is that the same experience will now happen when I'm creating a Kubernetes cluster. So with the same user interface, I just select Kubernetes clusters. Again, very nicely guided user interface. So I'm going to give my cluster a name, select the version for my cluster, which we deliver using a subscribe content library, so I can see what is available to me as a consumer. And we've added more and more options directly in this user interface. For example, certificate rotation directly done from here, and more advanced networking options. And as always, for Kubernetes clusters, I'm going to deploy and configure my control plane, where I can choose from Photon or Ubuntu images that we offer. And for my worker nodes, I can go ahead and create a node pool, select again the VM class to do the resources. And from images, select from the Photon or Ubuntu that we are offering. But if you do have any Windows containers, we also support Windows. So you can follow process that we provide to build your own images for Windows-based workloads. Some of the new things we've added, again, for example, directly labeling my nodes when I'm deploying them. So I can immediately attach a label or any tails that I would need. But the power of VKS, again, is that it's very customizable to everything that you are deploying. So if I want to create additional node pools, I can do that, maybe with a different configuration, different operating system, or different sizing to be part of the same VKS cluster. I can always do that. And similarly to the VM, the full manifest has been created for me. So I can just go ahead and download this. But always keep in mind that what you see in the user interface is just a subset of what the API can deliver. So you can always do and use more advanced options directly. So I can download this and reuse it, or I could use it as a base for maybe more advanced option. And again, just going to wait for my cluster to deploy. Once it's deployed, I can go ahead and download my kubeconfig file, so I can log into it directly. I can do that. But another thing I want to show you here is that directly in the user interface, I can go into the cluster and do some day two operations. For example, if I want to do any scaling, I can do it directly here, maybe add additional replicas to my node pools if I would need that. So very simple to do. Same if I would need to, for example, provision persistent volumes, I can do it directly from here. Another new thing that we have added is a CLI that I will show you in a minute. But in here, we can see all the resources that we have deployed with the cluster. So there was a service that we used to load, so basically a load balancer from the Kubernetes cluster that is required by a control plane, as well as the virtual machines that make up this Kubernetes cluster. So within the same user interface, I can see every resource that is deployed on my platform. And now we can see the cluster deployed. Let's jump into that CLI. So I mentioned that we do have a new CLI, and it's called VCF CLI. And this is a CLI that gives you the possibility to manage all of the resources on your VCF platform. In here, I want to show you that perspective of a consumer, if CLI is the way you would like to manage your clusters, because we all have preferences. So all I have to do is I can use the CLI to create a context for that Kubernetes cluster I have just deployed. And once I have a context for that created, I can switch into that context. And then I can just use my standard kubectl command. So once I'm in there, I can, for example, check my nodes of that cluster and see that they're there and ready. Another thing that Audrey has mentioned in the slides is that we provide these VKS standard packages. These are packages that we package with Carvel, and they give you additional functionalities that you could deploy on your Kubernetes clusters. The way we manage them and distribute them is using a repository that you can add, and again, control with that VCF CLI. So in here, I'm just going to add my repository, and then I can see the list of all of the available packages. So as was mentioned, we have things like Autoscaler, Cert Manager, Contour, but for example, also one of the new ones is Istio that we have listed. And now we can go back and switch the context back to the vSphere namespace. And the reason why I want to do that is that you've seen that when I was deploying my cluster, I have deployed a version 1.32. And when I check which Kubernetes releases are available to me, I can see that there's version 1.33 already listed, but it's marked as full. And this is because, as we promised, we really committed to that fast delivery of our Kubernetes releases. So at the same time, when we GA'd VCF 9, we have also introduced VKS 3.4, which allows you to use a version of Kubernetes 1.33, again, fully aligning us with upstream Kubernetes really, really fast. Because we distribute all of the Kubernetes releases with our subscribed content library, I can see it's already available, but this needs to be allowed for me as a consumer to use. So I want to quickly show you that process of how that works. And this is something that is in control of the cloud admin, because they are responsible of the infrastructure and they are setting all of these policies and the control of that. But it's very simple to update the service. So all they need to do is go to the Kubernetes service and add a new version. Because VKS is deployed as a supervisor service, they have their own lifecycle. That means that we can update them without affecting any other components in your VCF platform. So all we need to do is follow the links to download the service definition for the package. We don't have to do anything with it, simply download it and then add it to the flow and continue with that. So again, very, very simple, add the new version. After a while, we will see that the version will be added and we have an additional active version. And then I can go ahead and manage the service and just select the new version that I have added and install it on my supervisor. So we'll just continue with this operation. And after a while, just finish this. After a while, this will become updated. The easiest way is to just make sure the service is back in configured status. As soon as this was done by the cloud admin, going back as a consumer, I can see my release is now available to me. And just to show you another way of deploying a cluster, if you want to have it really fast, you can go ahead and do a default configuration. What this does is it basically takes the latest version of Kubernetes that is available. So as you can see, we have version 1.33 in a basic setup. Again, I can download this. I can just finish this and create this an additional cluster. And you will see now we have two clusters with different versions. And that's another power of VKS. It's really scalable to what you need. So the sizing of your clusters and the versions of your clusters, that's all up to you. You can mix and match and deploy whatever you need. But the last thing I want to cover is the idea of GitOps. And with our latest release, the first asynchronous release of Supervisor, we have introduced Argo CD Service. So what I can do as a consumer, I can see the service is available to me and the version of it. I can go ahead and deploy a Argo CD instance. And once I have the instance deployed, I can check the service to be able to log into this. So again, that's provided by the load balancer and the default password that is created. And we can just log in with that admin and that password, and we will see that we have a Argo CD instance that's available to me. So I will be able to use a tool like this to do my continuous delivery. With that, we also give you access to Argo CD CLI, again, if you want to do your operations using a CLI environment. It also gives you options to do some basic configuration. For example, what we can do is we can use the CLI to log in to that Argo CD instance that we have just created. So we'll just use that username and password that's there by default to do the first login. And then the first thing I like to do is change that password just because I want to be able to log in. So I can just quickly do that with the CLI as well. And then what we also want to do is we want to add destinations to our Argo CD instance. So I'm going to add 2 of my namespaces in here, and this will create a connection for me. So very briefly, those files that I have downloaded during the creation flow, I can just take them, upload them to a GitHub repository. So I'll add both of the YAML files that I have created for my VM, but also for my Kubernetes cluster. This is just to demonstrate how this works. So very simple repository. I add my desired state, so my YAML files. And then I can create an Argo application that will be very, very simple, just pointing to that repository. So I just add that .git, path is root. And now with the cluster, I can add the supervisor we have registered and the namespace where I want to deploy this. So I can do that. Once I create this application, we will see that it will start doing its job. So it will make sure that the desired state that we have defined and is in our Git repo is matched on our platform. So as this starts syncing, we will see that this will start deploying all of those objects that we have defined. But the beauty of this, again, is not just deployment, it's the continuous delivery. So now if I would want to make any changes to this deployment, I can do my changes in code, and Argo CD will make sure that all of my changes are, again, matched on my platform. And the thing that I personally love the most is that this is a true single API experience, because as you can see, we're using something like Argo CD for GitOps, targeting a single API and managing all of my resources, not just Kubernetes clusters, but also virtual machines and any other objects that we need on the platform. So that was a quick overview, and I will now hand it back.
Awesome. Thank you, Katarina. And now we will have like a quick look onto the cost of ownership, because that's kind of like a hot topic too. Let's take a look here on the 2 different platforms. As we can see on the left is the VMs running on VCF, and while also the containers, they run on a separate platform. So which created duplications across operations, policy, self-service portal, and we have skill set. Everything is double, but whereas on the right-hand side, we show the benefits of consolidating VMs and containers on VCF. So what do you get? You get first, you get a single consistent operations with unified tooling, a shared policy framework, API set, like Katarina just mentioned, the single API and self-service portal. We have the operational simplicity with one skill set across the team. So meaning organizations, they don't need to hire new talents. And then most importantly, we have this end-to-end visibility and a lower ops expense. So this comparison between a siloed, efficient model to a unified, siloed, inefficient model, to a unified, efficient operating model, which leads to the cost reduction, simplified operations, and ultimately, we want the organization to accelerating their innovation. So we run some data internally, and we see with the analysis, it's demonstrated that VCF delivers 52% lower TCO compared to an alternative bare metal solution. Basically, why? The first is coming from our higher VM density, which leads to a lower hardware cost. And there's no need for additional software licensing, which also saving the cost for our customers, unlike on bare metal, which require additional software to match VCF functionalities, because VCF already included built-in networking, security, and automation features. And also, because our operational efficiency, it leads to lower labor cost and facility cost. So the cost comparison shows VCF is the most effective and efficient platform for running VMs and containers at a scale on one single platform. So it eliminates the inefficiencies of like bare metal infrastructure. We don't need integration of the automation, and we also provided the enterprise grade security, make it the best choice for modern cloud environments. So we made a slide. Let me go back a little bit so we can walk. I like to walk you through of each why VCF is the best single platform for running VMs and containers. First, because it's a comprehensive platform with integrated storage, compute, networking, and management tools to remove the silos. The second is the lower capex. So with high efficiency, that comes with higher VM density for lower hardware, lower storage cost, and the lower OpEx with higher productivity. So our platform is consistently managed with unified lifecycle management, and we provide out-of-box cloud services in the supervisor level. Last but not least is the security and the resiliency. So it's all about better protection for VMs and containers. We have end-to-end data encryption, and which also minimize the noisy neighbor issue that happens a lot with customers. They have workloads on bare metal. Now let me quickly walk you through the customer story. Then we will have a fun pool for audience to choose what kind of demo they want to see from Katarina. So for the first customer is the Notruf. That's emergency. That's the company support emergency operations. So meaning everything rely on scalability. So at VMware Explore Barcelona, a couple of years ago, the customers shared how they maintain a rapid and reliable response system across the country. The story, they also showcase the essential role of the VCF they play in the situation where it's emergent, it's urgent, and doesn't have time for a second thought. The second customer story is the racial data. The company used VCF to build a private cloud that helped them to manage like data storage, processing, and access that helped the racial data meet their data sovereignty requirements. The last is the GCI, which is a communication company. It's also the Alaska's largest telecommunication provider. It delivers a wide range of services, include like data, mobile, voice and manage the solution, one of their biggest challenge was its latency. So as their data center is located like 2,000 miles from the nearest hyperscaler, by leveraging the VCF, so GCI, they benefits from a unified platform that simplifies the management of both VMs and containers, and also enable their team to deploy application in days rather than weeks, which while shortening the data latency significantly in this remote area in Alaska. All right, so I will hand over back to Anders. Oh, okay, so these are our resources page. You can find most of these resources on the VCF website. Now I will hand over back to Anders for the fun pool.
All righty, let's get that going here. Real quick,
Okay.
which demo would you like to see? The async supervisor update, deploying Argo CD service, or deploying secret store?
Just to give you very quick background, because we only have a few minutes left, the async supervisor update showing you how you can implement this first new update for supervisor, how to install it to enable Argo CD service. Deploying Argo CD Service will show the cloud admin part of how you enable this for your consumers. And with a secret store, that's another new service we've introduced. So I'll show you how to deploy that and how that looks. So up to you to choose.
All righty, and we'll give it 10 more seconds here so we can talk a little bit about this. Good ratio of folks coming in, 42% participated, 43, let's go for 45. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's take a look at these results here.
Hey, async update it is. So let me just quickly make sure I open the right one for you and very quickly show you how easy that is. And again, it will show you how we are improving the experience of the management of yes, this one. The management of the platform, again, mainly aimed at cloud admins. So as I mentioned, we have not only decoupled our VKS releases to be able to give you new functionality and new versions really quickly, we have now taken the same principle to supervisor itself. And that is to allow you to provide updates and unlock new services without having to affect anything else you have running on your platform. So the new thing we've introduced now and just released our first async release, I think about a week or two ago, is it's an update which we distribute using, again, a subscribed content library. So you have to do is create a content library and point it to a location that we provide to you. And then I can assign this content library to my supervisor. And as soon as that is done, I can go to the update tab, and you will see it will automatically detect that there is a new version available. So currently I'm running supervisor version 130.5. There's a new version 130.10. All I have to do is apply the update and click proceed. And this will do a level of pre-checks just to make sure everything is fine. If there are any warnings, it will let you know. You can see what that means as well. And you just proceed with that. And that's literally it. You start the update. What this will do is it will kick off the update, and it will update the control plane of supervisor. You will see that it will start deploying a new one. So it uses a rolling update to provide that new functionality. And that was it. It will run through the update and you will get to a new version. Always make sure that you end up with new version shown, but also your configuration status is back to ready, and the status is back to ready and healthy. That's all you have to do. So very simple. We will be providing these updates. You can just install them and use all of the new functionality that it brings you. So very easy to use, very quick demo of how to do that.
Just something really quick. I accidentally hit like answer live for one of the questions. I want to answer really quick. So what's the difference from the VCF A and the VCF automation? I think that's a question. Basically, there's no difference. So VCF A is the VCF automation.
All right, awesome. Thank you, folks. And just as a reminder, this session has been recorded, and the recording will be available on our webinars page, as well as all of our previous webinars. So if you've missed any in this series this year, you can go back and catch up or share them with friends and colleagues. And that also has our webinar schedule. And we do have another one up for next week. So be sure not to miss that and go check up and see what we have coming up on the road up to Explore. We've got a lot of good content coming up to get you ready, get ready for Explore. So Katarina, Audrey, thank you so much today. Really good and engaging. Lots of folks in the audience today. A lot of good positive feedback so far. So thanks so much. And we'll see all of you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
Bye.